be live. I want to apologize for starting a little bit late today. I am 3 minutes behind schedule, and it looks like I didn't even update the thumbnail image for today's Monday show, which is an egregious oversight. So we're going to address that really quickly right now. I admittedly don't have anything super interesting planned, but I'm sure we'll find something to do. So let me just get this squared away. And I think we're gonna do this under people and blogs. Whatever, just science and technology. I'm sure we'll find something sciencey or technological to bring up. Now we got this running through LIVIESTREAM Studio. We're streaming live on YouTube and Twitter X. And we got Caleb Reynolds in the chat. How you doing, bud? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Woo, it is so hot. And I just turned off my air conditioner. I mean, like, I wish I left it on. But you know what? I'll cool down in a minute. And I do want to say hi to Lemon Pie and Suzanne Eckstein. It's good to see you here today. Thanks for dropping in. Wish I had something super interesting lined up, but I think we could finagle with something fun here. I think we're gonna come up with something right now. We're going to learn about meteorology. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I said that real slow. I'm sorry. Meteorology. Let's have some fun with meteorology. And unfortunately, I think I'm on the wrong monitor here, because if I put this into full screen mode, oh, it works. All right, good. Because that little bar at the top could be a little challenging here, and so we want to make this a little smooth here. Oh, and I got my little chat avatar. See, I didn't organize anything today, so we gotta turn off the little. There we go. And get some things organized here. Hey, what's up, David Glenn? You're up late. No, I'm kidding. So, technically, I still consider it Star Wars month. So, we could play a Star Wars video game. Alternatively, we could literally just go through camcorder tapes and see what crazy shite I find on tape. And I have disappointing news. I won't be staying long, but I wanted to stop by and leave a like. That is very disappointing. But you know what? I'll settle for the like. I'm kidding. Thanks, Bucky. So anyway, what are we looking at here? I don't even know. No, how do I start this again? Now this is actually really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna show you some outdoor camera footage in a minute, but I figure we start with this view right here. This is on the if you Google goes east, like you see in the corner, it says GOES-east. These are geostationary satellites that basically hover over particular areas of the equator, right? The little boundary line between the northern and southern hemisphere, and it gives us this nice, like, bird's eye or space eye view of the northeast of the United States. And I find it's very useful when I want to use my telescope and I'm not certain about the conditions. So usually what I would do is I would do goes east continental US, and then we can either go to the all channels or we could pick the geo color, which is what you're looking at right now. So we're going to get a close-up of New York if I can figure out how to click on it. That's not how you do it. All right, let's see here. How do we do it? We go northeast, northern Atlantic. Here we are. Okay, that's northeast geo color. All right, so now there we go. We got like the New York area now, the tri-state area. And this is very useful if you want to make your own meteorological predictions. This can be very handy for something like that. You can like literally, you can literally like look at the clouds and be like, okay, there's clouds coming from the south and they're going north. And you might say, I better pack an umbrella, even though the weatherman is all like, it's cool. Or, weatherman might say 5% chance of rain. Let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, yeah, me and Ronnie go way back. Yeah, we go way back, Bucky. And you show up once in a while like some strange cryptid. It's true, we talk anime stuff. We talk about crafting. It's kind of in Bucky's name. You know, she shared some insights about model kits. For example, the enamel paint that smells really strong, you know, with the fumes coming out of it, is bad for you, and that's usually a sign it's like good paint. And I agree with that. I think she's right. I think that's scientifically factual. And what's up, James? Welcome to the chat. So anyway, this is not the only view, but what you're looking at right now is a nighttime view. This is an infrared spectrum. So essentially you're seeing like details that might be invisible or hard to see. And I just remembered I just came up with the next segment. If anybody likes sci-fi books, raise your hand, because I think I have a segment after this one already in my head. All right, so there's actually a daytime version of this if we go back in time. The daytime version is using visible light. So what we're actually seeing is exaggerated green. They actually do some, they use what they call a lookup table to make the green look even greener so that you can sort of see vegetation. But then when the sun sets, and that's what you just saw, we're gonna rewind that again. We're gonna pause it at the terminator line. And that's what they call the line where the shadow forms. When you have sunset and you're looking at the earth from above and you're looking at it from far away, like in the full disk image we saw. Let's go back to the full disk. So that area where the dark meets the light is called the terminator. It is not a killer robot. It is the terminator line. You know? So that's what we're gonna call that shadowy area. So in this imagery, you can see right before the terminator line takes over, we have visible light imagery and we have, you know, exaggerated green. And then boom, as you can see, it switches the terrain map to the nighttime terrain map. Now, I don't know if it's a live terrain map or, I mean, a live light map, but it's pretty accurate. I mean, look, you're going to have like lots of bright lights in, you know, the middle of New York. You're going to have less bright lights in the middle of Jersey, although it's still quite a bit of light. But you can see the woodsy areas in New Jersey. If anybody wants me to zoom in on a particular region, or if anybody wants me to do a fake weather report on your part of the country, let me know. I will give you my predictions. Maybe we could put some money on it. Maybe start a little gambling thing, like, you know, maybe bet on the weather. I think that could be a fun activity for future shows. Yeah, Mark's a lot. Marcus do reek. I like the smell of enamel paint. That's part of the reason I don't paint with enamel paints currently. Yeah, I remember Bucky was in a movie called Paint Apocalypse Now, and her quote was, "I love the smell of enamel in the morning." Something like that. Maybe I'm mixing up my movie quotes. But anyway, that's cool. Yeah, James. I think it was the mineral spirits evaporating as the paint dried. Yes, as a matter of fact, we have some lacquer thinner right here. So let's have some fun. No, I'm kidding. It's sealed. It's sealed. All right, I'm not huffing it. I swear. But if I wanted to, I could. So this stuff is actually really good. I've had it under my desk for weeks. I just found it while looking for my drawing tablet pen. I still don't know where my drawing tablet pen is. Might have to order another one soon. Yeah, I'm like literally looking for it right now. All right. But this stuff here is fancy stuff. And what's great about it is it's not so fancy that you're paying a lot. Because a lot of times you get a tiny little tin or a glass bottle made by Tamiya, a Japanese company, but you get this stuff right here. You're getting a crap ton of it for real cheap. So I sometimes use it when I want to clean my airbrushes, so I don't have to use you know, overpriced airbrush cleaning stuff. All right, have a good night. Thanks for coming by. Skedaddle. I like that word, skedaddle. It's a good one. And you have a wonderful night. I hope the little ones go to bed without being annoying, and I'm sure we'll have adequate fun even without you here. But yes, the fun factor might have gone down by about 3 to 7% with the departure of Bucky's Crafting. But everyone say farewell to Bucky's Crafting. Moving on here. I think you know, I'm sorry that I haven't been highlighting the chats tonight, but we can do that. See, there we go. See, we can highlight names. We can say hi to my new friend, Early 90s Baby Entertainment. And yeah, dude, yeah. So that's a great topic. Oh man, that's like a random one right there. And I do want to revisit the weather report. And that's a good one, David. And we're gonna go move on to this in 1 minute. But does anybody know what Early 90s Baby Entertainment is talking about? Let me see here, if we can find it. So there was a game in the early 2000s. He actually does a retrospective video about it. If anyone wants to drop a link in there with a wrench, feel free. Otherwise, I'll find a way to do it momentarily. But yeah, like, it was just this game where, like, if I could find, like, let me see if I could find an actual screenshot. Heck, I should just pull up his video. Was it your video or someone else's video? Somebody did a video about it. I think it was this dude. Yeah, here we are. So you get this like off the graphic view, and basically what you do is when you get into the game, you make an account on their website, and you got your own room, and you can fill it with furniture and all this garbage. And when we were kids, oh, I got it. No worries. For early '90s baby entertainment's YouTube channel. Here, wait, I got it right now. I'm gonna do it right now because I can click. Wait, that's so weird. I can't click on that. So when you're moderating a channel, Dave, and you can like click on the name and it says go to channel, that don't work for the channel owner for some weird reason. But I found a solution, and this will be my final solution to getting a link. Okay, that's terrible. That's maybe I should scratch that last part. But yeah, I got it right here. So let's see if we can find his video on Coke Studio because it was your channel, right? I'm not tripping it. Am I? It wasn't someone else's channel, was it? Maybe it was someone else's channel. Oh yeah, here it is. There it is. There it is. Found it. Good. So he does a reaction video to someone else's video, but we're gonna go and get you guys the link to that so that you guys can learn about Coke Studio after the stream is over. Learn about Coke Studio. There we go. All right. So anyway, this is the game, and I remember what I remember of it personally was like you could get these you basically, if you collected bottles from the garbage, or if you and your friends went to the store to buy soda, you would use the code inside the cap to like get points added to your account. And I'm pretty sure they were like, he explains it in the video, or in the reaction video, the guy in the original video explains it. But essentially, you could buy stuff in universe. Now, one of the things I distinctly remember when playing Coke Studio was, either you have the bottle caps or you have to find another way to get stuff to furnish your room. And I remember like people would have these parties. They would like, I think, advertise it as free Fernie or some shit like that. And I forget exactly how it worked. That's also covered in the link I put in the chat. But it was kind of frustrating. You'd show up at some place thinking, oh, I'll get free furniture. Or I remember my friend got the impression that if you throw a party in your room that says free Fernie, people would show up and bring furniture to like raffle off or some shit like that. And that would be an easy way to earn furniture. And there's this situation where like one of the guys in the video was describing that he basically like traded like a rare piece of furniture for a common piece of furniture, something common. And right after trading, the girl was like, haha, you sucker, I traded something, not rare, or you traded something rare for something common, sucker. And then not long after that, the game, was over, so it didn't really matter. But good video. I hope I didn't put you on blast there. Early '90s baby entertainment. Obviously, if you feel uncomfortable with me sharing out your link, let me know, and I'll retract it. But I think people should subscribe to your channel because the '90s was good. So now, let's move on. Yes, exactly. Final solution: soap, water, and elbow grease. That is correct. Yes, that's exactly what I was alluding to. Because otherwise, what else is there? What are you supposed to use? Dirt? Tree sap? I mean, sometimes dirt can help you clean tree sap off. It was here, James, perhaps, or maybe it was elsewhere, but yes, I remember. My one friend lost all his teeth to drinking Coca-Cola. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would think, so, the trick is, you gotta, like, rinse after drinking Coca-Cola, You gotta, like, drink that Coca-Cola and take some real water and, like, just, like, at least give it a rinse and spit it out, if not, swallow it. But like, I think that like, you got to be cognizant when you're drinking like super sugary beverages like that. And I do want to say hi to Moira Kitty. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Meow. I don't know if I did a good meow, but that's my attempt at a meow. I had a cat in my backyard during the winter. She would stay in the screen house. In like in the dead of winter, and I almost thought about taking the cat inside, but I really didn't want to let this cat, I didn't want to have a cat make his or herself at home. But anyway, that's besides the point. I got enough pets. I don't want a cat going into my turtle tank and trying to get dinner. All right, that's the truth. But yeah, so that's Coke Studio. If you guys remember the early 2000s, you might remember this. If you don't, that's my short version of Coke Studio. If you want more, link is in the chat. That involves a video which goes into greater detail. Now, getting back on the topic meteorology, and I believe David Glenn had suggested or requested an idea. Was it you? Yes. Can you display a magnetometer map of the South Atlantic anomaly? I don't know. That's a tall order. Let me see. Let me see what we can do here. Let's see here. NOAA magnetometer map. Oh yeah, the GOES satellite does have a magnetometer. Here you go. No, it's not a map. It'd be funny if I showed this graph and it's like, oh, here's your map. Take your map or leave it. Now let's see what we got here. Space weather and GPS systems, electrical power transmission, high frequency radio communication, satellite drag. Well, I want to see a satellite in drag. I wonder what that looks like. Maybe like a push-up bra and, you know, some like a short skirt maybe, or a long dress. My kitty was so freaked out from all of the stormy weather. Poor thing. Aw, that's so sweet. But this is basically what causes satellites to, you know, fall down, and then some satellites can be boosted up. Some satellites are equipped with some kind of you know, like some reaction mass to give it a push to a higher orbit. Yeah, I'm really out of loop on this magnetometer stuff. I mean, I know a little bit about the topic. Let's see, maybe we can just get a super generic map, like South Pacific magnetometer map. And you know what? I think I got an idea. So if I have to, oh yeah, that's interesting. There's a couple of different versions of this map here. So we got one on Wikipedia, we got one on a research paper website, a couple of them. And we have something here. Okay, we're gonna just see, we're gonna try to just work our way through the dry material. Signs on a spear. Signs on a spear. Right? That's how you say that, I think. I know it's not how you say it. Alright. Let me just toggle my desktop audio for you guys, because we can actually do that today. Because when you don't have a guest on a stream, I can do this really easily. Uh-oh. It's not working. I see why.
At the National Geophysical Data Center at NOAA. And one of the main tasks...
This guy's got nerd energy. That's okay. I'm not knocking him. He probably gets paid pretty well.
So the Earth's magnetic field is a big energy field. It's
kind of
by many different sources. The primary source is molten iron, which is flowing around inside the Earth's core. And this creates electrical currents, which then create this big magnetic field, which encompasses the planet. We created this data set, which is a magnetic declination data set, to kind of visualize how the magnetic field looks on different parts of the Earth, and how you might use that for navigational purposes. At every point on the surface of the Earth, a magnetic field has a well-defined direction. However, if you have a magnetic compass, the compass needle will align itself in the direction of the magnetic field. But typically, that direction is not exactly pointing towards true north. So that angular difference between true north and the magnetic field is what we call magnetic declination.
All right. You guys notice.
And we define that as negative declination, which simply means that if you have your compass needle...
Oh, that's cool. You got the years going by on the map.
Toward the west.
So I actually watch, I don't really watch the guy. I use that term very loosely. I watch a guy, he does a YouTube channel, it's like some bullshit like Geomagnetic Earth Watch or some crazy shit. And I mean, it's not inherently crazy to talk about that. But where I take exception is like the extraordinary conclusions that the guy makes. You know, he's like saying, you know, like some catastrophic shit will happen sooner than later, that the thing is moving at, that the North Pole is moving at an unprecedented rate, and
the true north direction.
I mean, if there is great potential for the end of the world, I could see where there might be a cover-up, but at the same time, I'm kind of like,
and the time span of this goes,
you know, I've seen enough predictions of harm to know better, or to suspect better.
And so back in 1590, primarily the people that were interested in
That's an
magnetic
interesting
navigation
idea,
were
James.
ships that were trying
I
to
think you just
navigate the ocean.
plagiarized Honor Harrington, I mean David Weber and the Wachowski sale, because that's what it is, man. You're talking about the Wachowski sale, all right? Okay, you can't BS me. No, I'm kidding. But jokes aside, and good evening, Dad Man Walking. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. But no, so in the Honor Harrington series of sci-fi books, oh, your message is blocking me. Now I gotta be like Wilson from Home Improvement. Hi, hi, hi there, my neighbor. I need a hat. I need like a fishing hat. Anyway, um, oh, it's transparent. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get distracted easily, as you can see. But yes, in the Honor Harrington sci-fi novel series, they do have this Wachowski sale, and let's see if we can get a picture of something like that. Wachowski sale. I'm sure I misspelled that word. Oh, first of all, it's a Wachowski sale, but I know Eastern European people, and they make the W into a V, so I'm pretty sure it's close enough. If you really want to go down a rabbit hole, look up electric. No, I will not. We did that a few weeks ago. Don't were you here? We went down that rabbit hole. Yeah. We watched a video of the Sapphire project. I gave my 2 cents on it. I tried to temper my attitude, I guess. I did try to, not just be like a naysayer. One thing I found interesting was I'm pretty sure first time I saw the Sapphire Project videos, I actually saw like a bunch of valves on the wall showing what gases. So they have a chamber where they have like, electromagnetic fields at play basically, and they're shooting electrical voltage in there, and they're getting like plasma around a anode, I believe. So like a metal sphere that has plasma around it, and the plasma forms in different layers. Like you see, it almost looks like little bands or ribbons of plasma in like layers or shells. And the claim these people were making was that like they can pump high voltage or high electrical current into this chamber, magnetic fields perhaps, and different gases, and that the result would be a type of nuclear fusion that can be done, much more cheaply than, something of a larger scale. And they also claimed that they were accidentally, or that they were creating or transmuting. They would use the word transmutating or transmutation of elements. So they'd put like some helium and some other gas in there, and you'd have a copper sphere. And then when you were done doing the test, they would put like they would put the something inside a spectroscope, and they would detect a new element. They'd be like, oh, we got some iron in there, or whatever the heck it was. So the claim was that running this electrical thingy that builds upon the theories, supposedly builds upon the theories of the electrical universe, that they can transform elements from one type to the other. Now, the flaw with that is if you have something that's producing energy, but it's also transmutating or creating elements in the process of doing what it's doing, then that alone is going to steal energy from whatever process is at play. So in other words, you'll either be transmutating elements, or you'll be producing more energy than what you put into it, or at least maybe like 80% of the energy you put into it comes out. When you're transmutating elements, you're going to get less energy, bottom line. So you can't have like a thing that produces free energy, or that somehow multiplies energy and creates elements at the same time. As I understand it, you can't have both. And on top of that, they really haven't proven what they have works. It's like even in the video, it's like, yes, they got a camera, yeah, they got some good footage, but they're not really, walking you through the details. And of course, the claim is like, oh well, we got to play it close to the chest, just like who was that guy? What was it? The guy, the Clarkson guy, Carlson, Randall Carlson. I'll get to that in a second. I do want to say hi to Miss Martin Muses. It's an honor to have you in my chat today. Thank you for dropping by and hanging out with us in the DJ Ronnie G channel. And who's Bill Walton? Well, rest in peace, Bill Walton. I will look him up in a minute. Yeah, no doubt, bud. It's a good video. It's a good reaction video. I liked it, and I think it encapsulates the subject matter, and that's what matters. Is like, it does a better job of explaining the freaking Coke Studio game / web app than what I did 10 minutes ago. So that alone is good. So anyway, I'm gonna see if I can find two things. So Randall Carlson thunderstorm generator. Now I'm sorry, like the name thunderstorm generator just throws me off. Like it's like, what do you mean? I mean, maybe I'm being too negative or simplistic, but let me see here. So revolutionary technology defies laws of physics. So there's one video where he's being interviewed, Randall Carlson, and it's like, I'm sorry, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He might not be lying, he might not be disingenuous, but I don't think he knows what he's actually talking about. And the problem is that the person who demonstrated the so-called thunderstorm generator, which involves some of this, see, you got like hot exhaust gas, you got a positive charge that's going counterclockwise, you got
minimizing the introduction of the turbulence.
Let him explain it.
What do you think that angle is?
I don't know.
51.84 degrees. Slope to base of Khufu's pyramid. Another coincidence?
I actually believe in coincidences.
I don't
Let's keep
know.
going. That's a fair answer. I'll admit that's a
That
fair
leads me to
answer.
think, okay, I've suspected all along that these pyramids and these structures are part of an ancient technological system. Probably somewhat along the lines of the
How am I
principles
hungry
of
at this
Nikola
time when it's
Tesla,
bedtime?
right? Who was able to generate energy by setting up some kind of a relationship between the Earth and the ionosphere. I don't know what's going on there. I'm still trying to figure out. Listen, I was in kindergarten 2 years ago. Now I'm in first grade. But I don't know.
So it's like, it looks like a generator or some kind of turbine or some kind of
A couple of thousand
know,
people around the world that paid to be able to witness, and what they did in front of a live audience on a stage.
Okay, so they did something in front of a live audience on a stage, but bear in mind, the person demonstrating it is the inventor, and I'm going to say that in quotes because, it's like, until it's independently verified, I'm not really sold on it. And look, someone could independently verify the functionality of this, and the original inventor could still retain the technology. So if somebody disproves it, but the original inventor knows it works, then I don't really see the big deal here. But at the moment, I can't really say I trust it much. And yeah, it does look like a big motorcycle. It looks like a motorcycle engine, period. Yeah.
Is they brought in a generator and retrofitted it right there. And
It sounds cool.
as a
I
result
don't
of
know
that,
how that follows, but it sounds cool. And I'll give you my theory on the Giza Plateau in a minute, because I do have, not really my theory, but one of the theories I found the most compelling. See how it's amazing how this show evolves. Like, I start off like saying I don't have a topic, then we're talking about meteorology, then we're looking for this magnetometer shit, and now we're like hopping around. It's kind of funny. And what's up, Lady Miss? Thanks for dropping by. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. But yeah, like, I'm gonna pull up Google
that
Earth.
several things happened.
Because
From there,
I
it
can
went
figure
to
out
this
something
research
relevant.
lab in North Carolina. From there, it went to a conference in Zurich where it was presented. Malcolm then went and spent 2 months in India
India.
demonstrating and building
Is that ice?
prototypes.
What is that? Epoxy? Is this a little
And
non-standard looking?
so, I mean, this is the phase where it's at now.
I mean, if it works, I'm not gonna knock
Let's
it.
see what else.
So they're really looking at this.
What?
People are really paying attention to this.
People are starting to pay attention to this. The gentleman,
Look, see, that's a generator. It's literally a Honda generator fuel tank up there, and then like I think a modified cage.
is named George Lush.
And that looks like an air-water separator or oil-water separator, but I honestly don't know what I'm looking at. That's what it looks like. It looks like a big air or oil. It looks like a large oil-water separator to me.
He works in high-performance metals. He contracts, he's third generation. Their company, I think, was founded in 1951. He's
I work with
contracts to the
low-performance metals. Right,
aerospace
I'm pulling up
industry and
Egypt.
NASA and all of this, these high-performance alloys and stuff. And he did the annealing of this thunderstorm generator in England.
So is that what if thunder happens? Oh, the bubbler where cavitation occurs. Plasmoid / ball lightning are formed. So when I hear the fucking word plasmoids, part of my language, I just, it's like, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to make of it. I kind of call bullshit, but I admittedly, look, maybe it'll pan out. I would love for like some magical energy device to pan out. My other problem is I still don't know what it does. Like, I see it does things. I'm seeing how it works, but it's like, maybe it's because I skipped 12 minutes into the video. But it's like, I want to know, like, what does it do? It's like, okay, you run a generator with a gallon of gasoline and it generates, let's say 100 watts of electricity. And then coming out of it, 500 watts comes out. That is something I could wrap my mind around. It's like, okay, you put in 100 watts, you get 500 out. That would be kind of compelling. I don't know if that's what's going on here. But, we'll just roll with it.
And there's an
Right now, it looks like a motorized bong.
interview, like a 20-minute interview with him afterwards, and it's really worth watching because he says, I'm the biggest skeptic around.
Okay, the guy who invented this is the biggest skeptic around.
And what I saw...
Maybe I should give that guy a chance. I don't know if I'll do it tonight. I think it's something I should sit down and do my homework on and then revisit at a later time just so that, like, I don't, like... Because I often tend to, like, mouth off, right? Like, if I think something's BS, I say so, and I try to be balanced, but I may watch the 10-minute video and be like, and do more research, and then maybe I will arrive at a different conclusion or different hypothesis than what I have right now.
Can't happen. What I saw is impossible, but I saw it. He's there with his... he had a thermal analyzer.
The Italians invented a twin
we've got
connecting
videos
rod,
of him here and there testing
the us people,
as this stream of stuff is moving through these cylinders and pipes and stuff. And literally with 4 inches, the temperature can change by over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And he says this is impossible. He says I kept testing and testing and testing
I did hear about
with my thermal analyzer,
recently. That might be the one.
and it came up the same every time. He says, I'm not sure what, he says, we're just at the beginning of trying to figure out what the hell is happening here. But then he went in to discuss the potential applications of it. Now, one of the big questions.
This is what I care about. The potential, I'm sorry, this just went over my head. Maybe I wasn't paying attention well enough. But I did hear the words potential applications, so let's hear it out.
This is okay.
By the way, can you guys hear the audio? I hope to God that I wasn't playing silent audio for the past, 10 minutes, but let me know if you cannot hear the audio, please, all right? So that I can attempt to fix that.
When you do look at these readouts, okay, carbon dioxide, the other things go down. In some cases, zero out. In other cases, it doesn't zero out entirely, but it's only a small fraction of what it had been.
It sounds to me they're recycling the hot exhaust in some way. And frankly, that water looks pretty dirty. And you might get zero emissions out of something if you were running exhaust through water. Thank goodness. Thank you, David, for confirming. But, I'm wondering, is the zero emissions output or low emissions, can that be accounted for by this being some kind of, not really a catalytic converter, because catalytic converters are different. And if nobody knows how a catalytic converter actually works and you want to see, it's kind of cool. But, yeah, I see...
Meanwhile, the oxygen's gone up. So then the question, okay, where did the carbon dioxide go?
It went into the dirty water. Am I like the guy says, where did the carbon dioxide go? My answer is it went into that water bubble. Am I wrong? Maybe. Yes, we hear you 5x5, and hopefully you hear the video 5x5, or at least 4x5.
Where'd the carbon monoxide go? Well, it looks like it somehow got. You sure I'm not talking louder?
I feel like I'm talking at a 7x7 right now, Lady Mist. That's just my opinion. I think I'm a 7x7. And I think I'm a 9.5 out of 10 if anybody's asking. Okay, jokes aside.
Muted on the atomic level.
Oh my God, he used that effing word. Okay, I'm going to rewind it.
Somehow got transmuted on the...
I don't know why that word is becoming my trigger word. When somebody says transmuted, I'm just like, and...
atomic level into oxygen.
you know what? Maybe that's possible because I mean, carbon monoxide, right? It contains oxide, so it's conceivable. I will concede to that possibility.
And how bizarre that the concentration of oxygen coming out of the exhaust pipes is the optimum oxygen that we would want for unpolluted, breathable air. And that's what's coming out.
And you know what also triggers me?
And George,
you know, also triggers me when somebody unironically says the words "free, unlimited energy." I mean, as a metaphor, I don't mind it, but I mind it when people talk about it like it's a real thing, and it's like, I don't know. You got to be more specific than that.
George Howard was there. I watched him do this. He got down with his mouth right there and started huffing the plasmoids or whatever.
He started huffing the exhaust or something.
Coming out, you know, to show, yeah. He did the same thing at the Tesla Tech conference in Albuquerque. We've got it on video, him getting down there and huffing. It's a
I always want to get one of these.
Running joke now, you know, that he got down there and was, and they initially started up the generator.
The engine vacuum is okay. Why is that my trigger word? I believe you're asking. Engine vacuum is transmuted into linear force in a brake booster or throttle adjustment for cruise control. Well, that's different. Okay, you know, maybe you don't know, but when I say transmuted in the context that it triggers me, I'm talking like creating elements that don't exist. Transmutating, if I'm understanding correctly, mechanical forces, I'm okay with this. Like, that doesn't trigger me. Yeah, I mean, but you see, you use the context that I'm okay with. If you use the context of transmuting something from nothing or from some convoluted mechanism that is nebulous in its explanation, then yeah, I'm going to be triggered.
The stage, and once the generator got warmed up, the fumes coming out got so strong that they had to move the generator out onto the loading dock. Then they turned the technology on. And within a few minutes, instead of all this pollutant and stuff coming out, it's air.
Slides off camera here.
Yes, I did.
Why don't we just start with the clean energy, the clean emissions? You had a great slide that showed what.
No, I want to know what this does.
You could actually use in a small.
Okay. I see something that looks like lightning
or even as a
in there.
home generator, right?
That might be the thunderstorm
kind
generator.
you could actually use in a small shop or even as a home. So it's a Honda Jet small.
That's
the kind
that's
you could
an Edison light
actually
socket,
use in a small.
right? That's a ceramic or porcelain light socket.
In a small shop.
UV air ionization unit. So, okay, that's probably a UVC light, the type that you use for disinfecting things. So, okay. So maybe it's drawing in air and it's ionizing
or even as a
it.
home generator, right? Now,
so that step of the process consumes energy. The question is, maybe the airflow somehow has some effect, like rubbing your feet on a carpet.
So what we did was we had two rooms with two generators, one to be left normal and the other one to be retrofitted with the plasma technology, right? So this is in a large scale, and this is in an industrial laboratory,
correct,
right? There's about 10 or 12 people there, various backgrounds, scientific and engineering and industry professionals in the group, including me. I was there. I got invited out, so I want to see this thing, because a lot of people have said to me, "Well, have you ever seen this working?" I said, "Well, no, but I know some credible people that have seen it working and vouch for it. But yeah, so I'm going to go. I want to see it for myself." So went out there. So they ran both generators, calibrated them, looked at the emissions coming out of them, calibrated them. They were saying the generators are warm. The one generator, which had the technology on it, there's a switch to turn the technology on, and it just run in line with the exhaust and the carburetor. And I can provide you with a slide with some diagrams that shows you the hookup of the thing. It's actually pretty simple. Okay, so I flipped the switch to turn the technology on.
I flipped the lid.
And I flipped the switch at 11 minutes and 53 seconds after 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so now at this point, we've got a gas analyzer in both generators, and we've got mass spectrometers hooked up to both generators. So, the guys are sitting there with their mass spectrometers. You could see the changing real time. I could watch there on the computer screen, right? So when I turned the technology on, there was, and it's called a Kane, let's see, what is it? Kane 5 analyzer or something, because it can measure concentrations of 5 different gases. So you got carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxygen, other hydrocarbons, which probably is mainly methane, but then also nitrogen oxide. So those 5, right? Coming out of the exhaust.
Okay, wait. 1 micron diameter that we need to form this part of the process. We need micro bubbles because larger bubbles will not symmetrically implode or to propagate micro ball lightning. So somehow they're generating micro ball lightning, which will blah, 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 into larger clusters during the next part of the process. Bob adds that we want to encourage large parameter sweeping in any cavitation system. The many different angles of stainless steel wool stuffed into the bubble chamber here will produce many different size bubbles, increasing the likelihood of some bubbles being exactly within the parameters required for viable cavitation. So
that's, is carbon dioxide, that's kind of 9.3%. Carbon monoxide is showing 5.48%. Oxygen is showing 4.66%. Hydrocarbons, 199 parts per million. And nitrogen oxides, 27 parts per million. This is at 11 minutes and 53 seconds after 10 o'clock. Flip the switch. Technology now activates. At 15 minutes and 39 seconds after 10 o'clock.
Sounds like an electrical
what's coming out, and you've seen this now. So I'm describing, but you've seen it here. And this is the actual printout right from the testing.
I'm going to need the quick and dirty version of this.
We're seeing transmutation, and I'm not making definitive declaration that this is what it is. It's just what it appears to be. That there's a transmutation of elements on the atomic level. Because the question becomes, okay, if you had 9.3% carbon dioxide, 0, what happened to the carbon dioxide? What happened to the carbon monoxide? They're gone. They're gone. Well, where did all that extra oxygen come? We're talking about, let's see, from 4.66% to 20.97. So almost 5 times the concentration of oxygen is now coming out of that exhaust. Is it possible? I mean, is it even conceivable?
I don't really see it as magic.
That somehow
it sounds like a electrochemical process, and I made that term up, but I'm okay with that.
Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide.
I still don't see like the implications of this. Does this imply that we could produce energy using petroleum while reducing the output emissions? Yeah, so I think the theory here, or the angle is, David, I'm guessing here, but I agree provisionally. But it sounds to me that they don't really know what size is optimal, or they don't know how to produce the optimal size bubbles. So they're kind of going with like something that produces various size bubbles, because statistically some of the bubbles will be the right size. Now, I don't know. I'd imagine if they were serious about this, they can get somebody to assist them in, like, figuring out how to get the ideal bubble. And I'm sure, like, if this was a serious, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying if it was a serious project, but I mean, there's a situation where, like, if NASA was building a rocket, they would probably try to figure out, or if Elon's company was building this, they would try to figure out how to get the optimal size. They would do the extra research. And maybe where you're limited in resources, it makes sense to use this methodology. But I'm just guessing. I think it's getting sequestered in the bong water. That's bong water.
How is this hooked up to the generators?
Look, it's turning black to water.
Well, you've got an intake of fresh air. And then it's recycling. It's taking the stuff
it sticks to the
that would be exhausted and refeeding it back into the thunderstorm generator, which is one of the 3 components of the whole technology.
After Jahanana, I'm sorry, that's mean of me. After Johanna left, Malcolm and Phil continued to run the thunderstorm generator for a while longer and achieved what are perhaps the best results caught on film so far. See, they lied. They're using digital memory and not film. This is hereby fact-checked. I'm going to upload this to Snopes. Not really. All right, jokes aside, better results are always achieved after the system has warmed up.
You've got a pre-ionization chamber.
What is the goal of this?
Where the air is drawn in, just ambient air is drawn into this chamber, and it's subjected to infrared light at roughly 100 microns, right? That pre-excites the electrons in the atoms coming in. It is then fed into what is called, we're calling the bubbler. And this is the instrument where billions of microscopic bubbles are created. That's fed into the thunderstorm generator, where I was describing earlier is a series of concentric spheres and rings that set up this vortex, this whirling vortex in opposite, from clockwise to counterclockwise.
So I'm reading the comments here. So somebody goes, what we need is an open source schematic on how to make one so that it can never be repressed by the greedy, power-hungry controllers. And then one of the first comments says, you know that none of these, quote, discoveries have ever been released freely. You will probably need to buy books off of these people for a few years before you realize that they look kind of wealthy and you have a pile of books which never actually showed you how to make their fictitious device. Now, I don't know if that's always true, but I think that is I don't think that's an unreasonable attitude for this person to have based on the track records of various similar things. Schematics or die, right? Picks or it didn't happen. Schematics or it doesn't work, you know. Well, in this case, it's all open source just in case the inventor decides to commit suicide. You never know. What does he mean it's open source? So give me the thing. Give me all of the details. Give me my DIY kit. All online, in fact. Malcolm Brendel thunderstorm generator. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm the asshole and I need to go and look up a Malcolm Brendel generator. Oh, yeah. So this guy's like one of these debunker types. But he's a nice British guy.
The first bit is what they call...
Oh, see, this guy could probably explain it.
Ionization chamber. It really is just a chamber in which you put a UV light bulb. They recommend a 25 watt by 300 nanometers UV light bulb that is mostly used to keep lizards warm. You stick that in the chamber and the air is sucked through by the vacuum of the engine and it's supposed to ionize it.
Hypothetically, you could build something that you act like you know how it works and you kind of just make it convoluted of an explanation or use enough buzzy words that most people won't really catch on right away. I am not suicidal nor homicidal for the official record.
As it passes through. So the bubbler, or the plasmoid generator, it's basically just a tube filled with about 1.5 litres of water. At the bottom there's a stone. You actually buy these for fish.
Oh yeah, they sell those for aquariums.
Tanks, aquariums, I think, and they are bubblers.
It makes bubbles. It's a bubbler. So you hook an air pump up to it, and you'll use it to aerate the water, to add oxygen to the water, to help maybe break up some scum or film. Like you have a layer of film on the top of the fish tank. You can sort of like send bubbles up that help to break it up, perhaps.
So they bubble the pre-ionized gas through them. I think it's on the piston upstroke and on the down.
All right. Oh, sorry guys, excuse my yawning. So yeah, it's like the same thing we saw earlier, right?
Downstroke, then these bubbles, and the vacuum is on general side the other, and it's all.
We're gonna look at Egypt in like 2 minutes.
Is, as I say, one pipe slid inside another pipe. The big deal seems to be about the spheres and the sphere arrangement. These spheres nest inside each other. And
this is helpful. See, this is like kind of like what I want. I want, like, you know, 3D models. Now, granted, maybe there are schematics I can independently look up, but, you know, I mean, I see spheres inside of spheres too.
The inner yellow sphere actually isn't apparently strictly necessary, just acts as an inner flow guide, and that has a little bit of a prong welded onto it so it can sit in the center of the blue sphere. The blue sphere allows the pipe to go in and out, and the yellow is supposed to act as a flow guide, and then the red sphere encloses that, so the whole thing makes a joint. To put that together, when we have the yellow spheres first, these are apparently our 2-inch spheres. We put a support on those spheres and weld those inside the blue spheres, which are apparently 3-inch spheres. At the end of those spheres, we put on a spigot so we can actually join it to something. And then between those, another pipe.
I remember when Johnny Carson had the perpetual motion generator guy on the Tonight Show.
You put the blue pipe on clearly, otherwise you won't get it to fit. And that replicates the drawing. Then all we actually do is put the unions on so that they will go to the exhaust. It won't ionize anything. So the air in there isn't going to get ionized. It's 25 watts. Then you can form a plasmoid at room temperature. Clearly, none of those things are present in the bubbler, but luckily there is another way to form a plasmoid. You form a plasmoid in a liquid.
Okay, so a plasmoid is a thing. That's kind of relieving.
If you subject it to extreme hydrodynamic shear. This happens all the time. It happens in ship propellers.
Well, hydrodynamic shear, they did talk about cavitation.
When you have a body of water and you put a large shear force on it, it will pull the water apart. Not the water molecules, the water mass. A bit like, ripping a stocking. It'll pull that apart and create a micro bubble inside of which there is a vacuum. The pressure of the water around will then collapse that bubble, imploding it, and
cavitation is cool.
The plasmoid will form, and of course this is what they're saying happens inside that bubbler. And you have to ask yourself the question, are those conditions present? Well, what's the driving force? Well, the driving force is the vacuum from the engine. The vacuum from the engine is basically pulling the ionized air, which we've discovered isn't ionized. So, of course, the question would be, how much is that pressure? Because the manifold pressure is the pressure that's driving the whole system, and it turns out, in the average car, the manifold pressure is somewhere between 4 and 10 psi, which is piddling. When you suck on a straw, you do it at 1 to 2 psi. Your squeeze pressure is about 70 pounds in men and about 44 pounds in women. So you could squeeze the thing harder than the manifold pressure is exerting. It's not an awful lot of force. So we've got some
air I get it now.
Bubbled through.
Thank you. Now I get the reference from earlier
through in the same way that your fizzy drink does, with a pressure applied to it of round.
I think the grandfather of Nelson Rockefeller sold a remedy that was like a mixture of opium and like garbage, and it was a cancer medication, but it basically just made you forget you had cancer for like the duration of the high.
And implosion. The thunderstorm device itself has been compared to a Rank-Hilsch tube, and Rank-Hilsch tubes do work. They're astounding devices that separate hot and cold just from the flow of a gas, forming vortexes inside the tube. The issue is, well, they need 80 to 110 psi to actually work, and what they've got is 4.
So I don't know if you remember the time me and Punk Waddle talked about the doomed Franklin expedition, but yeah, that was like one of the characters in the movie, in the TV movie, and in maybe the book as well. His mom, what happened was he goes to like some event in London or England, and back then they would put as many people onto the bleachers as possible. So imagine like wooden bleachers in the year 1850. So what happened was the little brother drops his glove or his scarf underneath the bleachers. So the mom goes to reach under the bleachers to get it. And then the fucking bleachers collapse because there's too many people on it. It crushes her fucking hand. And basically, from then on, afterwards, the lady had tons of pain in her hand. And, you know, she was just miserable. But when she took laudanum, she was, you know, able to laugh. But unfortunately, the guy was, like, really fucked up. He's, like, saying that, like, I can't listen to... The guy in the movie was like, he can't listen to his mom, any girl laugh anymore because of that memory. And it's just like some dark shit, you know what I mean? Not to be giving you guys something depressing there, I'm sorry. But that's what came to mind when you mentioned laudanum.
A bubbler doing cavitation, a Rank-Hilsch tube with vortexes. All you actually need to do is stick a tube in your inlet manifold. Tube with vortexes.
Okay. Gasoline, water. You got direct fuel injection. Some water injection of 2 types apparently. And you got a piston that I guess can put that under pressure.
Vortexes. All you actually need to do is stick a tube in your inlet manifold and the vacuum pressure of the engine will take care of the rest. And it actually works. It works by cooling the engine down a little bit at ignition, and that means you get a leaner fuel, a better burn, lowered emissions both of carbon monoxide and nitrous oxides. You also get a fuel...
So this guy, if I'm understanding correctly, and I don't know if I am, he might be explaining the mechanism by which you get the reduced emissions, and it may not be due to some remarkable effect, or it's possible that this thing does exactly what he's saying it does, but I don't really see the big deal. Like, I'm missing something right now, so I'm gonna have to do more research on this. But it's like, what does the thunderstorm generator do? Like, what? Let's try to Google what does the and I'm sorry I didn't switch the screen back to the camera view. Generator actually do. So real quick, I had the camera angle off, so I'm gonna just switch here. So this is what I was talking about a minute ago. So basically, he's saying that yeah, this is pretty trivial to do, and you will get like lower emissions from doing this apparently. But now let's see what the basic explanation is. Okay, the thunderstorm generator functions by ionizing air and creating implosions under vacuum. The build process, I don't care how they build it. The water used is used to make bubbles, which are then ionized into an air mixture. Then it's sent through a vortex tube, which allows 2 different directions: exhaust one way in a vortex outer, and ionized air inside the vortex, which creates which then cleans the exhaust stream. So, if I'm understanding correctly, this is simply a way of getting lower emissions. In which case, I'm all for it. I say everyone build one, or people should be building these and putting them in their cars, seeing them work. I mean, then again, what's the motivation? Like, why do I care if I'm putting out lower emissions? You know? Like, do I want Toyota to be mandated by law to put this in every car? Like, I'm missing something here. I'm missing the plot, I think, I'll admit. So let's move on to something cool. Mainly, yep, I got you. It's mainly heroin or diamorphine. Diacetyl, the fancy name is diacetyl morphine, I believe. Or diamorphine, as you said, which the Germans figured out how to synthesize just after the U.S. Civil War. Ah. So anyway, let's take a look at the Giza Plateau where the Stargate is located. You think I can find the pyramids without looking for them? Like, you think I could just randomly find the pyramids just by scanning this? I don't know. Oh, New Cairo City. It's like New York City, but New Cairo City. The city that never sleeps. California, yeah. All right, I'm sorry. So let me just type in the word Giza Plateau. Al-Khalim, Egypt. Oh, it's close. See, right there. You can see the very fertile area. So it is the big one, the little one, the medium one. And whoa, the 3D model is a little fudged up, I think. Holy shit. That's why people find the pyramids to be a wonder of the world. Look at that shit. They float. They float. The pyramids are floating. That is just remarkable. I am sold. Okay, now jokes aside, I'm sorry for trolling everyone, but I don't know why that's happening. But we're going to use the top pyramids for our demonstration, although I'm a little confused right now. So I'm very confused. I didn't know that this pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, is the one that stores limestone on it, whereas the Great Pyramid is more like, it looks like it's missing material. But one thing you'll see is this metal thing up here. And so I remember hearing a story that some researchers climbed up here and that their hair was standing on the end of their head due to some electrical effect. Now, I kind of call bullshit on it, but only because there's something missing. So, as I understand it, the Great Pyramid and perhaps the Khufu Pyramid had a golden capstone. Now, yes, gold is not a stone, but basically the top was covered with like some layer of gold. Now, the stone that you see over here is actually the limestone that was mostly removed over the centuries, over the millennia, I guess, because, you know, people you know, once Egypt was not like a first-rate power, outsiders and people even living nearby the pyramids would harvest, you know, use the pyramid as a giant rock quarry. Who gives a shit about the dead guy inside, right? Just, you get free limestone already quarried, already cut to size. So you just like chisel it off the building, pyramid, I mean. So now, as I understand it, you have limestone on the outside, and then deep on the inside you got granite, like especially in the Grand Gallery, which I'll get a picture of that right now. So, granite pyramid, Grand Gallery. All right, let me see if I get the side view. Excuse me. Okay, so like, that's a bad picture, but this thing here is like an internal structure. In fact, that's like almost like a corridor. But let me see if I can find the super duper duper heavy stone. There's like a very, very heavy stone in the middle. And then like this here is like, I think what makes them suspect, even though I didn't find any mummy in there, as I understand it. They got electrical storage closet in there now. Yeah, like this right here. See this triangular stuff? So it's like part of a much more complex structure, and of course, it does feed into where people question like, how the heck did they, you know, get those stones in the position? And I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a number of different angles to kind of help drive the point home on what we're looking at here, or to at least make it clear what I'm trying to show you. So this little triangular structure, I'm going to try to get a better picture of one. So in the center of the pyramid, there's an area that has these like things, and you can see it right here. You can see like that long thing. So this long white thing, this long corridor, is this. So you're looking at it from the front right over here. So this from the front looks like this from the side. And then you got the so-called king's chamber. You got weight relieving chamber. So the claim is that this is somehow designed to help relieve the weight over this cavity, which maybe it is. So anyway, I just want to get a good picture of those stones, and maybe they used ultrasound or something like that to get a good picture of them. Maybe that's why. Okay, it's called the King's Chamber. So let me see if we can find King's Chamber, and let me see if we get a good side view. So basically, somewhere on the inside, like I believe, like the stone you're seeing here with this little texture is granite. So like these inner walls that we're seeing in the background here, that's granite, as I understand it. The outer part of the pyramid. What up, Wade? I wanted to have you on today. I'm going to have you on next week. If you're available, let me know. I'd love to have you on next week if you're available. Man, I got to say, VStream and StreamYard sometimes really messes up the emojis, the YouTube emojis. Like, this is why, remember when I used to show the chat on screen, I had a different method of doing it? It was a bit more tedious, but it allowed me to show the emojis, and I may revisit that method of showing emojis at some point. But for now, we'll just take the hand wave for what it is. You know, that's what Wade was saying just now. Only 8 from your goal. What is that? What are you at, 1,000? 2,000? Oh, you're already at 2,000 subs? You already got more than me? Man, I'm slacking. Then it broke and nobody could repair it. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, I just saw you now. I'm going to wrap up very, very soon because I'm supposed to go to bed soon. But if you're available next week, I'd love to have you on like from the beginning of the show, or if you want to even come in late, that's okay. Just let me know so I can plan around it. But I definitely want to have you on the show for like at least half the show. Certainly, I'd be happy to have you on the entire show. So call my agent. I'm kidding. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll hit you up on Twitter. But either way, one of us will contact each other, right? We'll do this. All right, we're going to do this. We're going to have fun next week because I have a plan for next week. What I want to do is, same time, I start at 10:45 p.m. New York time. That's like 8:45, 9:45 Texas people time, I believe. Wow, 1.5. That's beautiful. So is anybody not subscribed to Wade? Because you should consider subscribing to Wade. And I lost the link. All right, well, we're going to get a link to Wade here and get him on blast here. So Real Wade Nation Gaming. And there's actually 2 channels, I believe. So I believe this is the right one. Uh-oh, I lost the ability to send chat. Oh, there we go. Yes, that is cool. They use muon imaging now to map unknown cavities in pyramids. I remember in the Dan Simmons book, Hyperion, they talked about using, I think, like neutrinos, basically, like they're like basically detecting how many neutrinos do or do not pass through. I think that was before we had a better understanding of what neutrinos were. Sometimes, you know, people try to predict the future and they make a little mistake. Okay, well, either way, we'll work something out, even if I do a different day stream. But, you know, I'll touch base with you by electronic communication. So, okay, bottom line is, okay, internal structure of the pyramid has some granite inside. Now, I believe granite has, let me just make sure that I got this right. I believe it has some, yes, granite contains trace amounts of naturally occurring radioactive elements, such as uranium, thorium, potassium, radium, and beta gamma radiation. So somehow these elements inside the granite has certain properties. Now the outside of the pyramid is limestone. Limestone, you could count that as having dielectric properties. So just give you like an idea of what we might be talking about. I would say it's akin to like a giant capacitor. So this one here is a solid capacitor, they call it, as opposed to electrolytic capacitor. Here's more solid capacitors right here. They got solid ferrite capacitors. They got them in different types. So you can see like almost this one almost looks like it's made out of rock. It's made of ceramic basically, or it's like a type of ceramic material. And so basically that's the gist of it. So anyway, my point is, you got the dielectric properties, which means it doesn't conduct electricity of the limestone. On the inside, you got granite, which apparently does have certain electrical properties, supposedly. So now, underneath the Giza Plateau, you have the Nile, you got the aquifer. So here's the Giza Plateau. Sorry for the sloppy rotation here. I'll try to clean that up. Okay, there's the Giza Plateau and your two pyramids. The Nile River is right over here, right? Now imagine, you know, 2,000 or 5,000 years ago, whenever Egypt was like, you know, doing its thing. Every summer, every year, the Nile River floods, and that's part of what makes the ground, or made the ground so fertile back in the day, is that the water would flood, and you get all this dead fish or whatever was in the marine, you know, ecosystem would be coming into the land, helping to make fertile soil. So now, bear in mind, when that river floods, when that Nile River floods, some of that water potentially, or supposedly, is running into the aquifer. So you got layers of rock strata, layers of rock underground, where the water is flowing through. And it's not really bullshit in that when you have water flowing through layers of rock, it does generate an electrical current. And so the implication is that if you're building the pyramid on top of that aquifer and the water is flooding the aquifer, it generates electricity, and then the pyramid, the way it's designed, it's able to retain a charge like a capacitor. A capacitor is similar to a battery. Basically, it'll temporarily hold a charge. So a capacitor might say it's rated at like, let's say 3 volts. So it receives input of 3 volts. But after taking 5 or 10 seconds to build up a charge, that capacitor can spit out 100,000 volts, like on a camera flash. That's literally what a camera flash does. Stores a buildup of electrical charge, and then it releases all of it in a very short burst. That's how you get that bright flash from a camera. So the idea is that if you could use the flooding of the aquifer, and the theory I heard was that both the flooding of the aquifer and the draining of the aquifer, so as the water is flowing out of the aquifer and back towards the Nile, I don't know if that's really how it works, but supposedly that would also generate electrical current. So going in and going out, you're generating electrical current. And that energy, I guess, is concentrating at the top. And if you remember, they were both covered in limestone. So if you have a golden capstone at the top, perhaps that is a energy collector or a place where it concentrates. Maybe it's a giant anode or electrode of some kind. And from there, the theory was that that energy would get transmitted somewhere, but where? you know, where would it get transmitted? Well, let's see here. We're gonna do a little and I gotta remember to switch to the right monitor. Okay, let me explain that one more time. I'm sorry, guys. So once again, you got the golden capstone on top of the pyramids. You got limestone covering them first. You got granite on the inside, limestone on the outside, and gold capstone on top. Aquifer floods, electrical charge concentrates to the top, and then from there, somehow you can use that electricity. And that's the question, is how can you use it? So let's see if we can figure it out. Electricity in ancient Egypt. Now, we do know that in Baghdad, they found these clay pots that were able to generate electrical charge using lemon juice. Some people speculate they were used for electroplating. We don't really know. But there's this popular picture, and I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm just going to show you, what is commonly said, and, almost so that we could debunk it, except I'm not prepared to, support or debunk it. But I lost the picture. I had it right here. Uh-oh. Oh, it's right here. Nope, that's not it. I lost the picture. All right, show's over. Catch you guys later. No, I'm kidding. We're going to find this picture. We're going to find it. Ah, here we go. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Do you guys know this picture right here? Anybody familiar with this one here? And real quick, I'm going to read. But yeah, I've definitely touched up on Twitter. And then let's see here. David Glenn says, limestone is basically all calcium carbonate or Alka-Seltzer. Oh, I didn't know that. 5,000 years ago, Nile was closer to the plateau. Okay, that would help. That would help with the whole building up an electrical charge, wouldn't it? So anyway, some people speculate that this serpent inside of this giant thing that looks like a flower, it kind of looks like a flower. Some people speculate it was a giant light bulb. And sometimes you'll hear people, they'll say that, they'll act like, they seem to think they really have the answer. And I don't know if they're right or wrong, but they'll I guess what's the word? Not assert, but hypothesize that there was no soot, no evidence of flames inside of the pyramids. And so in order to illuminate the inside, they must have used electrical lighting like this. Now, I don't know if I buy that, but it's a little bit compelling. I'll admit it's a little bit compelling. So people argue that this is a filament, or maybe this is an arc lamp. So, of course, there is a picture of somebody's interpretation of what that is. And we're going to find that picture right here. So let's fire that up. So once again, same thing, except this is clearly an artist rendition. And what you actually see here is interesting. You see 3 Baghdad batteries, or clay, vessels with lemon juice inside of them, supplying enough current to do this. And in a way, just seeing it in this form makes me think it's not realistic, but maybe that sarcophagus was like a capacitor bank. Maybe that's where they would supply the voltage from the batteries into a capacitor that would then relay it to the light bulb. But it doesn't seem very portable. I mean, how far can that light travel? I'm just not particularly compelled by it. But, I mean, once again, take it with a grain of salt and maybe do your own research and decide if you think it's not bullshit, or if you think you can find, stronger evidence to support the ability of something like this to, exist. That's cool. So yeah, that's the theory I heard, was that basically the flooding of the aquifer allowed the generation, would naturally generate an electrical current. That electrical current in turn would be used to charge the pyramids, a giant capacitor. But now, like I said, just to generate electricity to power little light bulbs, I don't buy it. So what's the alternative? Well, let's find ourselves the Alexandria Lighthouse. Is that even a thing? Is that even on a map? Okay, so we found the Giza Plateau. Right, it was like somewhere over here. I kind of lost it, but it was here somewhere. We were looking at it. We were hanging out in the Giza Plateau a minute ago. And if we go all the way north, so we got to go all the way. Yeah, I lost the Giza Plateau, but that's all right. We're going to go to the lighthouse, which is right here. And unfortunately, there's not really any lighthouse left. And unfortunately, I think it's a modern day lighthouse. I don't know. But is it possible that if this lighthouse was really the biggest lighthouse in the world, and I'm going to get a picture of one right now. If this was truly an enormous lighthouse, like of gargantuan proportions, and I think that's they got like basically you can go visit the bottom of it, but the top of it's gone. I think that's the gist of it. But if that's the big kahuna right there, how do you get, you know, what did you use to light it up? You know, do they reflect sunlight on a mirror? Do they do that at nighttime? Not necessarily, right? You can't reflect sunlight at nighttime. So what else would you use? Maybe a flame? Maybe you bring some wood up there and set a little fire? Maybe you would pump animal fat up through a system of tubing. Maybe you would have workers and or slaves physically carrying barrels of oil or animal fat, and that would be what you would burn. You would burn some kind of reservoir of animal fat at the very top, or maybe somewhere near the top. You know, like, is that what would go on? You know, like, I don't know, but that's one possibility. Maybe that's a possibility. The other possibility is that this somehow had the ability to receive a wireless electrical charge, sort of like, you know, Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, right? So imagine, granted, Wardenclyffe Tower, I would see that as more of a force multiplier, because we know Wardenclyffe Tower took electricity from the grid or from a power generator, but if it really was shooting electricity up to the ionosphere, and, you know, solar conditions being what they are, space weather being what it is conceivable that you could put a certain amount of energy up into the ionosphere and pull down more than you put into it. And if that is true, then maybe there's a similar process at play where the pyramids can be used in a similar capacity, thereby allowing energy to be received by receiving stations or devices. And so you might ask, how does this receive? Well, one thing I noticed, if this is a realistic rendition, I do see a golden guy on top. Now, he could be copper or gold, but maybe that's your diode, you know, what is it, anode and diode. So maybe the pyramid is an anode, and maybe or vice versa, maybe the pyramid is a diode and this is an anode. I always mix up which one does what. But that's what I got. So, like I said, I don't know what the F I'm talking about. None of this is definitive from me. But I believe in it more than the thunderstorm generator. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I disbelieve that. I think the second guy's video was pretty interesting in how he went about going over it. And I think that guy has enough experience with experimenting with things that he can speak on that and be more qualified than I am to speak on it. So, you know, anyway, do you guys have any questions about any of that or any opinions about that? Let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to skim through the chat and we'll, you know, finalize our conclusion. We're almost into wireless energy transmission Tesla territory. Yeah, we really are. Cathode. Okay, cathode is different. Anode and cathode? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, got you. That makes sense. But yeah, I think this was one of the so-called 7 wonders of the, you know, ancient world. The only thing I think is more amazing than the Alexandria lighthouse are something built by the Koreans. And it's very close to my heart what the Koreans built. They call them turtle ships. See, it's a turtle boat. See? Oh shit, that's a high resolution image right there. See, it's a turtle boat. And you know how much I love my turtles. But now this one's interesting. So it's like a ancient Korean warship. And it had like a shell on top. It also seemed to have some spikes on top to help prevent boarding action. Maybe even some, you know, metal or something to retard fire. You got these metal plates on the side. You got this dragon looking motherfucker. You got some ancient sea monster looking dude here. You got some, it looks like they got some little artillery there, gun ports on the side of this thing. But it's an interesting type of design right there. I don't know who they went up, I didn't really read much about it. but I don't know who they went to war with. But I think it's cool, and anything that looks like a turtle is, all right in my book. And it's sort of like an early imitation of the ironclad, like the Merrimack or the Monitor. And apparently these are some of the 3 large shantung at the Jinju Fortress Museum. The closest is a Chinojo shantung. The second is a Jija shantung, and the third is a Hayonyo shantung. I hope I did justice to that Korean language. So it looks like these come in 3 different sizes, and looks like they chained them down so that nobody steals them. Although I don't think anybody's stealing the large one. So I think that covers our bases there. Let me see here. That's cool. They got a coin with a turtle ship. I would love to have this coin. I bet this coin is expensive unless it's not real gold. But that is a beautiful replica right there. It's definitely a scale model, but that is very nice. I like it a lot. I really do. So now that we covered that, let me just make sure I'm not overlooking anything. Here's another beautiful picture of the lighthouse here. Look, you got some boats and storms. Okay, we're going to close out the light bulb stuff for now because I don't know where to go. There was a very good Sequest DSV episode where they actually show you real stock footage of archaeologists using a special vacuum device to like pull dirt off the sea floor while uncovering the library of Alexandria. Yeah, they found the library of Alexandria underwater in on Sequest DSV, and there was like multiple countries they were fighting over it. Okay, this is interesting. You know why this jumps out at me? This one jumps out at me because you see smoke coming out the top of the thing. So now, bear in mind, this is the Encyclopedia Britannica. So maybe they would have had a motive to, like, fill in the blanks. Maybe the guy writing it would have said, oh, well, they didn't have electricity, so it must have been done with fire. But I don't know. I'm just speculating that, it is possible that this could be revisionism, or this could be more based in reality than anything else. So here's like, a version that does look like it's literally powered by fire. So take that as you might. Now, the last thing I need to do, my last order of business before I depart, is we're going to check the outdoor camera view. And I figure we might as well treat you guys to the sights of the outside world while we do that. So we're going to open up Sharp Cap here, and I'm going to crank up the exposure time. I'm going to expose my camera. So this is like sort of like if I had a clear night, but I was worried about, the weather. I have this set up now. Same camera I would use on the telescope, except we're using a wide lens right now. And right now we're on a 1/4 second exposure. So in other words, it's going to be like very, oops. That's weird. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what I did. 500. Okay, there we go. I got it. So basically every half second it's updating the picture, but you can see it's we got some motion blur there because the clouds are moving fast. So what we might do is crank up the gain on the exposure, which gets pretty grainy, unfortunately, but affords us the privilege of getting like a much more normal exposure time. And then we could do like 8 frames per second, or maybe crank up the exposure a bit more to get something like this. Maybe crank it up to a 1/4 second like that. But at some point, we really don't benefit from having like 30 frames a second anyway. So right now, we're only getting 4 frames a second. And, maybe like if there's like lightning, this type of exposure might capture something. Yeah, dude, you should go to bed. No, I'm kidding. I should go to bed too. It's not just you. It's not just you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. It's me, not you. So I want to take a series of pictures on automatic. And we're going to set it to 1 every 4 seconds, perhaps. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 1 frame every 2 seconds, then I'm going to go to bed. and I'm going to probably run out of hard drive space, and I'm going to end up having to delete stuff tomorrow morning. So there we go. I'm going to record a time. Oh, that's what I want to show you. So, of course, if I'm going to talk about time lapses, I'm going to show you guys a time lapse. That's what I meant to do. So let's get a nice, hearty time lapse going, and then we'll wrap it up. I can't believe you made it through the show either. Well, I believe it because you're here, but how cool is that, man? I'm just happy. I always want to get my own time lapse. Now, what I like about this one is we actually see the clouds moving in two directions. We see clouds going from left to right, east to west. But we also see some clouds going from north to south. And I don't know if that's because the sun is setting and it's just an optical illusion as the sun falls down below the horizon. Or if there's some other effect at play, like maybe like as the temperature gradient changes, certain clouds are more inclined to flow in a different direction. But I find it very fascinating to be able to observe the clouds in this manner. And I would love to attach different filters to the camera to see, you know, different behaviors. So with that, we're going to look at one more set of frames. All right, this one here, you can see it's like not quite as exciting because it skips a lot of frames and it gets very dark. But that's what we have here. And these will play back at whatever frame rate I recorded it at. So if I record it at a really low frame rate, it'll play slow. So this is something that I want to re-encode and then, you know, play it back at a higher speed to give it that time-lapse effect. But that's how, oh, look, we see some stars. 1, 2, 3. So that's, you know, a minor thing I'm working on. But basically the idea is that when we have astronomy nights, I can monitor the conditions. So if, let's say, you know, the telescope is taking a bad picture, I can check, is there a cloud in the sky? And then if it's really cloudy, I might say, oh, it might be raining, and I might run outside. Now, we didn't talk about meteorology that much. We were going to go into the weeds on meteorology, but we went down some interesting rabbit holes tonight. So that's all right. But we will touch on meteorology later. And like Lady Mist is saying, take care, everyone. Good night, David Glenn. Low, not leaving, though. DJ Ronnie G was ending show. Okay, I'm seriously going to end it. So I really got to go to bed. But thank you very much, Lady Mist. And it was good seeing Real Wade Nation, Gaming Nation here. It was good to see a lot of people here. It was good to see my turtle. My turtle wasn't here. Oh, you guys can't see me scroll up to the chat. It was good having James here. It was good having Caleb Reynolds here. It was good having everybody here. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight on both YouTube and Twitter X. And I, you know, if you have any, you know, ideas, questions, comments, ideas, concerns, etc., please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. Dislike if you didn't like the show, that's okay. But if you hit the dislike button, please leave a comment so I can, you know, understand why. And let me know if you want me to... No, it's a terrible idea. I'm not going to say it. I had an idea. Okay, yeah. Should I tell you my idea for next week? You know what? I better discuss that idea privately. It's kind of an idea involving current events. I don't want to go into details on it right now because it could be potentially offensive, but I was thinking about... yeah, no, I better not. I got to talk to a few people, find out. I have an idea, but it might be really distasteful. So I kind of want to have a pretend guest on the show. Someone who went to jail, like, really recently. But I don't know if that's appropriate to, like, you know, be having fun at the expense of somebody's very serious trouble. But jokes aside, I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching. Once again, please like and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Please leave a comment if you wish. And for now, we shall... Oh, we got to play the outro. We can't end transmission until we play the outro, which I recently learned to lower the volume on it so that it's not too loud. So I got you guys, all right? I got you covered. We're going to play the outro and we're going to end it.